reputation for quality and standard than, say, the other big countries like India, Australia or China?
Again, Sri Lanka is a small player when it comes to the global BPO market. Global BPO market is probably worth about $600 billion.
Right.
And we have managed to capture probably 0.1%. That is 600 million, which is nothing. And we obviously need to differentiate Sri Lanka in that sense. We can't compete with the Indias and the Philippines and Egypt and so on. So the strategy for us is to differentiate ourselves as a knowledge hub or knowledge island, where our literacy rate is more than 93%, whereas if you take India or Philippines, it's in the 60s. So we obviously are good at analytics and that type of work, and that's why we want to differentiate. And the other thing that as a new startup, Sri Lanka being a new startup in the industry, one of the things that we can do is to concentrate and become a green BPO, as we call it, or green eco-friendly BPO, which is a modern trend.
What exactly would be the difference between your average BPO and, say, a green BPO? Are there any standards that you have to live up to?
Absolutely. Now, for example, if you take Haley's as a company, we are the only BPO that is carbon neutral certified in Sri Lanka, and we are trying to differentiate ourselves as a carbon neutral company. So obviously there is a lot of energy saving mechanism and a lot of training for the team. Even switch off your light, switch off your PCs when you go off, and little things like that. But that goes a long way.
And this is what the world is looking for as well when they're looking for business partners, especially in the big countries like the United States or the United Kingdom. They want partners who are co-creating at the same time, who are sustainable, because that looks good on their portfolio as well, right?
Absolutely right.
And when it comes to differentiating ourselves, I'm talking about Sri Lanka, do you think that it will place us better when competing against countries like India, right? We look at the stats and we look at India, there's 56% of the BPO market is in India.
That's right.
So it goes on without saying that it's really tough for a newcomer to compete with India, and unfortunate for us, they're our neighbor. So strategizing it, in a sense, you said, would be as sustainable vendors, is it?
That's right, and this is just a start, and there's strategies not only for Sri Lanka, but we also need to market ourselves as Sri Lanka. Now, if you take recently a report by A.T. Carney, global consultants on BPO, they put out a report, and they ranked Sri Lanka around 21st in the list, and that's a challenge, because we want to be in the top 10. We are never going to be number one, but we want to be in the top 10. So we obviously need to strategize to make sure that we do get there. And if we leave it too long, we would have missed the bus. And there will be other countries like China, that's coming out, Philippines, and Egypt, Brazil, who's going to just swipe and take over the market. So we just need to be aware of that.
In a sense where we look at all the risks that are there, especially in Sri Lanka, I think one of the risks, as you've mentioned in one of the articles that you've written, let's talk about the article. This article was published in the UK magazine of outsourcing. It's an article written about BPOs, especially with regard to Sri Lanka.
That's right.
You talk about the risks that are available when it comes to BPOs. One of the risks is the fact that all the skill that is available is highly concentrated in Colombo, and that when we need to move out, if we are to expand the amount of individuals that we need to fill in the shoes to become like a BPO vendor, what do we think, or what do you think that needs to be done to mitigate that risk of all the skill being concentrated in Sri Lanka, in Colombo?
Yeah, I mean, again, if you go back to the success of the apparel industry, is that they went to the villages. They took the factory to the villages where people were able to work from their home.
Right.
So one of the pioneering things that Haley's did was to go outside Colombo. So we were the first BPO company to open in Jaffna.
Right, and this was soon after the war ended.
Just after the war, and we were just testing the market. We were not sure. We started off as a CSR project, and it's been quite successful. And that's what these companies need to do. I'm not saying it's the best output, but you've got to start somewhere. And I think we need to explore Kandy, Gaul. There's already something happening in Gaul by another company. So we need to now branch out.
Right.
That's key to make it a success.
Now, we were talking about the skills that are required to be a part of a BPO vendor, be a part of an organization like yours who offers BPO solutions offshore and within the country as well. And then we were talking about the Sri Lankan education system, where there's 250,000 people who sit for the A-levels, out of which around 10% will go to universities. If I am an individual who just finished college or is in the waiting to go to college, and if I wanted to join an organization who offers as a BPO vendor, what do I need to look for? What do I need to do?
Okay, there are plenty of forums where you can put up your CV, or you can attract your attention.
Right.
One of the things that we do require in this industry, because we are serving international customers,
right,
is good English skills.
Right.
And that's a fundamental issue that the country does have, and,
right,
and it's coming out of it, but immediate challenges the English communication skills. The other thing that you need to do have is a bit of an IT savvy background.
Right.
So that those are some of these things can be trained, and BPO companies will take on that. But you got to start somewhere, and you got to start because once I was in the university a month ago, and we were explaining to the chancellor that the degree program itself needs to change
to cater to the needs that are required in the world today, right?
So I say, if you can do this X, Y, Z change, it will really help the companies hiring to immediately take on these people, rather than you teaching them just what you think they need.
Right.
So there are a lot of programs like that through SLASCOM we are doing, and we are encouraging universities, colleges to do that. But students, if you just type BPO in any search engine,
and you can get all the information.
Absolutely, and it's all there. And every day you will see, if you open the Sunday papers, you will see we are hiring 50 people, 100 people.
Right.
BPOs don't hire ones and twos.
Right.
Their starting will be 50.
Because it's a project-based solution.
Absolutely. So there is enough and more opportunities for that.
Doctor, now when we're talking about Sri Lanka, we're talking about opportunities. Now, in your article, it says that when you look at expanding this sector in Sri Lanka, we are currently at 30,000 people in the industry, in the BPO vendor industry, and you want to expand this to 80,000 by 2016.
That's right.
How would you fill in this gap of, say, the risk being only in Colombo? Are we doing enough, or what needs to happen for us to fill that gap between 30 to 80,000?
Again, that's, I think it's a collective thing that needs to happen. One is that, yes, we need people from outstation, and we can take the work outstation. But the challenge why it doesn't happen is simply because if you have a power cut, right, and there has to be then a backup generator,
right,
and can 100 pieces run on a backup generator for 8 hours is a challenge, right? You also have a high bandwidth cost, and then can it sustain without a break?
Right.
That's another challenge. Do we have intelligent buildings? Probably it's a challenge. So yes, it's a issue that needs to be sorted out on both ends. The companies need to take a risk and go out and make sure things happen. At the same time, I think we need the government help, which has already started, to create intelligent buildings and provide incentives for companies to go out, and that will take off. And we can really capture the youth from the university and put them straight into the program.
And we were talking about employer benefits as well before we started the show, and you did mention that there is employer benefit, the payee tax, which is very much less comparatively to an average worker, which is at 22%.
That's right.
For a BPO vendor worker, it would be around 16%, is it?
That's right. The government has encouraged people to join the industry, and it's been there for a few years. And because this is an export income for the government, and most of the income is on dollars or pounds.
Right.
So then the government is happy to have foreign income coming in.
This is the country.
As an industry, this is the 5th largest industry in Sri Lanka for export revenues, and we are hoping to be the number 1 industry taking, obviously in about 10 years' time.
Right.
But there will be some challenges because it took, if you take the tea industry, it took 100 years to become a $1 billion company, a $1 billion industry. Now we are trying to do that in 10 years.
Right.
So obviously there are challenges that need to overcome. But this is one of the ways the government is helping the industry to make sure students come in and they get a benefit, so their take-home salary is higher, and
right.
they encourage through this PAYE tax.
And for the employer, or rather the employee, if I'm an individual currently working in a vendor outfit, the working times may differ. It's not your average 9 to 5 job. Maybe I'll be working with a Fortune 500 company, but that depends on the work that you get, right? And that's always a plus point, because it's not going to be, you're not going to be stuck within the parameters of the organization that you're working with.
Yeah.
You will obviously have opportunity beyond, above and beyond what you'll be doing at an average 9 to 5 job. So it's a great opportunity for people who want to get into this industry. And the message is, if you have the talent, if you have the skill levels, look it up and get into it, because it's the 4th largest in Sri Lanka currently, and it has the potential to be number 1, because it has reached this height in a matter of 10 years, right?
That's right, yes.
So anything else that you want to add? Now let's talk about Haley's, right? It was the first company to start off as a BPO vendor in Sri Lanka.
As a carbon neutral BPO
as a
vendor.
carbon neutral BPO, right?
Yeah. And obviously that took some time. If you take Haley's as a company, there are multiple industries underneath it.
Right.
And as a BPO company, we have created a shared services, serving them from airlines to hotels, to manufacturing to plantation. I mean, you name it. It's horizontal. It's horizontal. And we're serving across the Haley's group. And we took that skill and we went overseas and said, look, when they asked for a skill, we said, well, airlines we can do. Right. Manufacturing, we know it.
So basically what you did was, there was a gamut of knowledge which was within your company, which went across marketing, it went across transportation, because there's 12 different sectors that you all currently function under, and you'll leverage that into basically like a consultancy.
That's right. And we are offering, we are currently doing consultancy for local companies as well, who have realized the potential of BPO but don't know how to start or how to make it.
So if there are local companies who want to outsource a certain capability that they are, as you said, they're non-core competencies.
That's right.
How would they get a hold of you all?
I mean, Haley's is known, so it's just a matter of looking up on the internet. But as Haley's, we are also very conscious in terms of how we work with our competitors as well. Right. So obviously, because we are into multiple business, whatever you touch, we will be exactly. We have a foot in it. So obviously, companies will have reservations to give work to us, but we don't operate like that. Information is safe, and we do the payroll for our staff, from top down. So nobody will get to know about it, and so it's like a third-party vendor whom you trust and give the information. It's no different to Haley's as a company.
Right. At the end of the day, it's a great opportunity for Sri Lanka. It's one of the rising sectors in the world. There's a lot of amazing and huge companies in the world who want to outsource their non-core competencies, and Sri Lanka obviously has the capability and the skill to do so. Hopefully, the current facts are that there are 30,000 people involved in BPO vendor aspects, and what Sri Lanka wants to create is an 80,000 people in this sector. So you will hopefully be one of those individuals serving the needs of amazing companies, being a part of this country and bringing foreign investment and foreign dollars into Sri Lanka, making it a better economy. That's the message, and we want to thank you for being here, Dr. Arul Sivaganathan, who is the Managing Director of Haley's Business Solutions, and he's also a Director of the Sri Lankan Association of Software and Service Companies. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And hopefully you'll have a great Sinhala Tarudu, and have a good day.
Happy New Year as well.
Thank you so much.